And we are live. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Callum.
Hey, man.
We are in the episode 164 of umbraCoffee, and I'm back, finally.
You're back,
I,
yeah. Where have you been?
I've missed the last episode. I've been in the Polish mountains, in Wisła and in Szczyrk, which are two really close ski cohorts to each other. I've been teaching my older daughter how to snowboard, dealing with the two daughters and a bunch of my friends there, and of course COVID restrictions, because it's still not the usual way how we spend the time in the mountains. And I've seen you've been thinking how we've dealt with that.
Yeah, I saw you had like a snow buggy for your new baby.
Yeah, I was trying to find it out in the video to show you this one, but yeah, I was referring to the saying of where is the will, there is a way, and that's how the whole let me just try to find it. The whole trip went using the same approach. That was our trolley.
Yeah.
So we've constructed it with couple of additional parts, and of course to handle our boards there. So
I had visions of you. I had visions of you, snowboarding with a child strapped to your back or something.
No, everyone was asking us about it, because of course we were changing, because our little one is 2 months old, and we were hanging her in the carry, and we were swapping the riders in between, and everyone was asking, "Are you riding with this kid here?" I said, "No way! I'm just walking here. My wife is riding right now. We are switching our roles in a couple ways. But yeah, where's the will? There is a way, and we found a way. It was really nice time there, and as all of us, we need some time to rest. And I managed to not check Slack, Twitter, Facebook for the whole week. So mission accomplished, and I'm back.
So you're back, and you know nothing about what's gone on in this week in the Umbraco world.
Yeah. I know that you've been busy too, Callum.
Yeah,
so maybe
I don't really know what's gone on this week. I've had a pretty insane week.
Maybe we should just sit down here and let people let us know what happened in the comments on YouTube channel.
In the chat, your highlight from this week. Anything we should know, we'll highlight it.
But no, truly, we did a catch up and we found out what happened. And as usual, it was really nice week in the Ambraco community, and it's great to see so many activities happening these days. And some parts, I didn't feel FOMO for that, but I really want to catch up on these, especially starting from the community office hours, because that was something what we've talked about a couple of weeks back. And it kicked off on Monday, and it was streamed on Zoom, moderated by Rachel Breeze. And after the session, there was some great feedback shared by, for example, Paul Marden, also some other community members, and it was the first session. The recording will be shared. That was said somewhere on the discussions here.
The recording's taking a little longer because what they're doing is putting sign language, like signing over the recording, which is great to make it more accessible. And of course, I completely missed this. I forgot it was happening. I didn't see any promotion around it happening. Completely forgot about joining, but I'm really keen to see that video. And I'm sure it'll be great when it gets released. It's going on the community YouTube, I think.
Yes, community YouTube channel, which we'll link down below in the notes. But there is also a section on events on our Ambraco, where the community office hours are listed with links and links to forms where all of us can ask questions. And the next session is on 10th March at the same time, and it will be a discussion or chat with the Ambraco developer advocates, Arnold, Emma, and Warren, and it will be moderated by Hank. So yeah, everyone can prepare the questions, prepare some new ideas or things to be discussed there, and maybe this time attend in person. And of course, from the another point of view, there was an Umbraco product update shared today, which is again highlighting all of the things, all of the items being worked on or planned to be worked on short in time in the Umbraco ecosystem. Do you have your personal highlight here, Callum?
I mean, I'm kind of excited about 8.12. There's little nuggets in there that I think are just a really nice enhancement upon the product. The cloud stuff, I said before, I'm pretty excited about that. I think this has got a lot of potential. I've been recently talking with Morten and with Rasmus about some of the stuff that they're doing with regards to utilizing as much as Cloudflare can offer. And that's also pretty exciting that we'll get those features kind of at our fingertips as part of Umbraco Cloud. So Cloud.
Probably that is what excites all of the rest of people, because the RC, as you've mentioned, is out, and everyone can play around, play with that. And again, call to action to every developer, every company, every team: just really test it out if you want to dive into, and report some bugs if you will find any, because we've seen some release candidates earlier which were not that much tested, and there were some issues which were discovered later on in the various phases. So I'm right now keen to really play with this release candidate before waiting for the proper release and just installing it.
I think it was with the 8.11 release where there was a few teething issues, and as I said, we have no reason to blame anyone for that and complain about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We are equally responsible for testing these release candidates, making sure that they meet our needs. There's a few dependency updates in here also, just to be wary of. I know that the HTML sanitizer dependency has been updated to a actually supported one, and back office dependency as well, which is really interesting. I've never seen HQ highlight when a back office UI dependency has been updated, but I guess if you're using as a package dev or something, using one of those back office libraries, then that change does matter. So that's great to see.
Yeah. And in the RC itself, there are some really fantastic elements being included. I personally like this new flow for creating document types. It's like such an improvement for the whole flow, and also the things which are, of course, which we mentioned multiple times, unattended upgrades, and a new error screen here, which is also
the boot error. Finally, we don't get a horrible
intended ugly screen. So cool. Let's play with that and report as many bugs as we will be able to find. I'm really curious about this release. You've mentioned also.
You mentioned the doc type flow. I really love that, and I know that a few people, because Mark built that maybe for V7, but definitely it's been a V8 package for a while, and it's going to be part of the core. The flow just makes sense. It's how it should have been from the start. But it's taken this long, for the package to get enough traction to actually get this in there. And maybe someone who's watching knows, has the concept of document type collections been removed, or is that still a thing? I've not played with it. I don't know. But I know there was some discussion before as well about what's the purpose of a collection, which is just it creates two doc types where one can be created under the other. It's purely a kind of UI sugar thing, and it's part of that workflow of creating a content type. But I don't know if it's still there.
But I also remember some playing with the code there and the trees there, and it was some duplicated actions, as you've said, to change the wording. So cleaner and simple is perfect here, and less is better. So that's really cool. And there was one more thing which we've didn't mention. It was some improvements to Umbraco status page, which is also something what helps us all to deal with issues in this case. So if we are saying something wrong with the Umbraco installations, with the cloud projects or Uno or Hardcore, we can check this out and see this. And I literally bookmark all of the status pages of the tools which I use, because whenever something wrong is happening, that should be the first place to look if it's maybe if it has some other issues, not something what we can just I don't know shoot out about or scream about.
I'm fortunate I've not had to look too much at this status page before, but I know something I do come and check this page for, and that's upcoming releases, because when they roll out a new version of Deploy or Forms, it gets announced on here a good 5 days, maybe more, before that actually happens.
Oh yeah,
maybe before it's even communicated elsewhere. So
did you see this button here to subscribe to updates?
Oh.
Oh, yeah, I noticed it today when I opened this page for the first time.
So we want emails every few days saying there's a new forms, but yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely for incidents and stuff. That's incredibly helpful.
Definitely. So all the product upgrades will be linked in the video description, but they are also available on the Umbraco blog post, together with some links with more information about, for example, the cloud infrastructure changes and some plans to make them extended. So again, everyone from the technical perspective will be also happy to dive into how and what is done there and what's next, because that's also highlighted here in the post shared by Morten on the blog post. So that's an update from Umbraco HQ side about the products, but developers were also busy. Callum, you've been busy as well.
Yeah.
You've released new version of search extension package, right?
Yeah, this has been a little while in the making, but we've been having to do some stuff with Vendor, and Vendor's got a new variance editor, which is basically a block list editor in the back office. So it's just storing data as JSON. Now, JSON has never been nice for search. Like you can't search JSON objects in Examine easily. So Search Extensions introduces a new JSON field type. So you can say this field should be indexed as JSON, and it will split all of the relevant properties out into individual fields. But more, you can filter JSON objects now. So if you wanted to do a bit more configuration, you can provide a JSON path to kind of split out only the bits that you want. And then to go even further, you can say, well, because that will have now split out this sub bit of the document into a new field, I want to index all of those as some different type. And you've got kind of full control over reassigning what type of a field is at index time, which is
nice.
Kind of cool. So this works,
really.
You can use it on the block list editor, the grid, on anything that's storing JSON, really. And then you could use that to filter and get out just the values you need for your index.
That's really, really nice. I recently had a chat with some new company exploring Umbraco here in Poland, and they've been asking me about search and how to start with building search. And I said, okay, take a look on this package, check out how and what is hidden behind the abstractions. And it was same with Matt Braceford's easy search package back in the days. It was also highlighting all of the possibilities of Examine search on the one macro view, and I was using it as a kind of documentation on what and how it's possible with Examine search in Umbraco.
With easy search, that whole package is basically building up almost the raw Lucy inquiry in line. That's actually really cool.
It's a great study material if you want to explore how to work with search.
It is, and I think so the package I've built this because it wraps up a bunch of stuff that I do in projects all the time, and it just abstracts them away, keeps them really clean, means I don't have to do too much to configure my search. But I appreciate not everyone wants that. There's some elements of it which are opinionated, but the code in there is a great reference, like you say, for here's how you would do something like that. So at the very least, use the repo as a reference.
Yeah, and again, it's open source. So the end code is the same if you would write it on your own and hide it in your own abstractions, in your own method names. But I find it useful to see the abstracted methods because usually they are named better and they're just naming the functionalities which are done there. So yeah, great stuff and high five, you're up, Callum, for releasing that. Christian also was working on some packages, and I noticed one after another this week because he started from Color Selector Property Editor for Umbraco 7 and 8, and I really like this approach of releasing the package or property for both at the same time.
Because it's a back office component, so he's registering some Angular. Ultimately the package will work on all of those versions.
Yeah, but again, a lot of people are still using Umbraco v7, and it's like we easily might just drop it, but still, Christian made an effort to release 2 versions, make the same supported package for both. And Color Selector is available on our, and the second package is Key Value Editor. That's the name of it. So another property editor for handling and keeping and managing pairs of values in the key value relation.
Did Lee Kelleher build something kind of similar? Was it Tuple or something? Was there a tuple
Yes,
editor?
yeah, that was exactly something what came to my mind earlier today. I saw a tuple editor or something like that.
In V7, I don't think it's in V8. It's not supported for V8, but
Maybe.
yeah, there was a tuple editor at some point, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's really handy again. There is a use case and more than one use case for keeping the key values pairs like that. So yeah, check it out, and high five your Christian for that, and for 2 packages in 1 week, which is a really nice highlight. There was also on our some new package added from AdWeb team, and it's a chatbot integration from their side, which is possible to be handled from Umbraco using Umbraco macro. So we can put a chatbot from their solution in the Umbraco installation using macro, which is already done by them. So pretty cool. And the Iglo theme launched a new demo site here, which is available on the demo at .iglotheme.com. Looks, as usual, pretty good, and of course highlights all of the widgets, all of the functionalities there. But there is also a changelog released highlighting what has changed there. And again, as Umbraco Uno is using Iglo behind the scenes, there is a strong connection between these two, and I believe Umbraco said it back in the days that it was also two-side relation, that they are improving something, Iglo theme is improving something, and everyone is benefiting from that, because whoever is using Iglo or Uno can be happier, seeing especially these performance upgrades here and some other improvements there.
We love performance upgrades, don't we?
Always.
If you don't put it in your release notes, we've made it slower this time.
I'm a simple developer. I see performance. I like it. But yeah, that's all. And another topic, which is a major topic on my personal highlights this week, it's a new initiative finally formed, because I believe that we've been talking about it for ages. It was about
I did do one. I ran.
Yeah, you did do one. Yeah.
I ran. So what we're talking about is this kind of a way of coaching speakers into applying conferences, submitting a good CFP. And of course, Umbraco are going to run a speakers academy to do that. But I think it would have been December 2019 now. I ran one of these as a little trial just to see how it would go. And we had 10 people turn up, and a few people submitted to Codegarden, and I think a few of those people even got accepted. But this idea of coaching people through the process.
Yeah, but right now the idea, at least I believe, it's going mature, and it's not going to be just a call for proposal sessions, but right now it is starting from there. And Emma, Carol, and some HQ members, Ilam, for example, are involved in pushing it through community. And the really important part is that it's the same as you've been doing it in the past. Everyone is welcome. It's not just for someone who, I don't know, wants to perform the first presentation or first session, but also for the experienced speakers, people who wants to improve their skills or help other people improve their skills and take benefits from that, to just be better in doing the public speaking and presentations in general. Yeah. So call for proposal is open for Codegarden, what was highlighted before. And right now, community wants to help to build better presentation inputs, to build better presentations, and got accepted for the first virtual Codegarden, maybe other conferences. And I really like the thing that some of the speakers who were starting with Umbraco meetups, with Umbraco events and festivals, right now are going to the big events, to NDC and stuff like that. That's an amazing journey, and that needs to start somewhere. And it won't start if you won't be keen on starting anywhere, right?
So they're running 3 sessions. So next week and after, I believe, they're running 3 sessions. You can turn up virtual. Just, I think their idea generation is the kind of principle. So looking at what might you want to talk about, what do you think you could talk about, and fleshing that out into some kind of proposal that you could maybe consider submitting, either to Codegarden, but I guess anywhere. It doesn't have to be specific for Codegarden.
Yeah.
Of course, it's well timed because the Codegarden CFP closes on the 15th of March, and the last one's on the 10th here. So I'm sure they won't mind if you go along to multiple. Take your work in progress along. Say, what do we think? Get some feedback on it. It's always handy to do that before you submit.
Always, yeah, always. And as a speaker, or we both as a speakers, we can say that it's not easy to get feedback before session or even after session. So it's good to have a friendly group of people who are there to provide feedback, to shorten the path, to maybe eliminate some ideas, maybe to tweak some of the other ideas. And even if this talk won't be accepted or won't be performed anywhere, it's still a good chat and good exchange of knowledge. So MVP speakers, people who are organizing festivals, join and help. That's
and equally, if you don't feel like you want to go along and share your ideas publicly, maybe you're a bit nervous. I know for sure that you could reach out to any member of the Umbraco community and just say, hey, what do you think of this idea? Someone friendly, they'll give you friendly feedback. They're not going to be overly critical. I've read and submitted probably thousands of proposals, and many of them have been rejected, of course. And so I know what goes into these, and I'm more than happy to look at yours with a kind of non-judging eye as well, as I'm sure many others are. So either go along to that or reach out to someone. I think the message here is the community's around to help. Yeah. We want to see more people submitting to these events.
Yeah, I think that by sharing all of our journeys, we are helping others, even small amount of people. But I've seen a lot of rejections across the people, and last year I've learned how to be rejected all the time. And 2 years back it was the same. So we can help each other.
I've said this to a few people. If you want to get into like speaking at a lot of events, let's say, I think in 2019 I spoke at 30 or 35 events, which is a lot. But if you look at that, I would have had to have applied to 150 events maybe in order to actually speak at that. And that might be on a good year. Sometimes it'll be a lot less. And this was something I was actively pursuing and actively putting a lot of effort into. Don't let that put you off. Of course, it might be that the one proposal you submit in the whole year is perfect, and that's great. But rejection is part of speaker life as well.
The biggest part. But I'm curious to see how it will go, and if I will be able to help. I really want to help this time as well. Let's see where it will go. That's from the community side. We also have some other stuff to of course share, and starting from some final call to actions, because there are a couple things which are ending this week. Umbraco accessibility course, which was mentioned last week and launched last week, right?
Yeah,
last Wednesday. Last Wednesday is discounted, and the discount ends when exactly?
Next Wednesday, I think.
Next Wednesday.
So I think you've got a few more days to get that 25% intro discount.
And I've seen some tweets already from people who were applying some of the rules mentioned there in the course. So yeah, that's a really good output from the initial launch right now. So if anyone wants to save 25% and attend this course, that's great value right now.
And of course, it's an on-demand course, so you can buy it now, and you can do it when you have the time. You don't have to buy it and do it instantly.
Exactly. And some polls. Last day to submit a survey answers for vendor roadmap. So we've been mentioning it a couple weeks back. So today is the last day when we can submit some ideas where and how we see the vendor product in the general roadmap.
So you've been doing a bit with vendor, haven't you, Marcin?
Yes.
And for anyone that plays the vendor drinking game, drink now, because we've mentioned it every time. I've been doing a lot with vendor as well, and really, really loving it. And as I said, I think a couple of weeks back when that roadmap was announced, or the poll was announced, in fact, it's great that we're getting a little bit of say over the direction of it. I've been thoroughly enjoying the experience of working with it, but more so, I've been thoroughly enjoying how receptive Matt is to feedback. So like I raised a few issues on the issue tracker, and I think I raised one last night at 7 p.m. and Matt's back within half an hour going, yeah, this is good. We could do this. We could do this. The product's going to evolve with that user feedback at a fantastic rate. And I think it's going to be a truly excellent product for Umbraco for a long time to come. So yeah,
I totally agree with that. And you probably can remember a couple of years back, I was a massive anti-e-commerce fan after some bad journeys with e-commerce products and projects. And right now, dealing with Umbraco and vendor changed my approach on that. And I really like.
I don't like doing e-commerce. I've for a long time I said, I don't do e-commerce. I don't build e-commerce sites. It's complicated. There's payments. You've got to handle all of that sort of stuff. Vendor handles a lot of the complexity, and I've tried all of the different e-commerce platforms for Umbraco, for Sitecore as well. None of them quite, make my life as painless as vendor does. And speaking of vendor, this episode is sponsored by, no, it's not.
By the drinking game still continues, right? So we can create one episode when we'll be just talking about vendor. And this will be sponsored then.
Warren has posted in the chat some hashtag umbraCoffee that there may be an Umbraco swag shop with vendor coming, which sounds like a nice idea.
And again, swag shop, which was requested by many, is kind of something maybe which is going to be visible finally.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
go vote because
go vote. Yeah,
you can make it even better.
But if we are speaking about Warren also asked a question today, which still is very popular. So, what IDE we are using as Umbraco developers? And I'm really curious because I was thinking that this perception and this gaps are not that big. And right now we have 44 votes on this poll, and 84% people are still using Visual Studio for that.
So it's like interesting. I think I'm surprised by two things here. I'm not surprised that Visual Studio is the predominant option. I'm surprised that VS Code ranks so low. For me, I cannot wait for the day where I can get rid of every site that's not running on .NET Core, and I can use VS Code as my IDE because it does everything I want it to do. Azure stuff, I can talk to SQL database, does everything. It's really good. And we showed code spaces off a few weeks ago as well. It's just that seamless integration with all these products. The thing I'm equally surprised about here is Rider. Getting 10% of the votes, because the way that Rider users talk about Rider, you'd have imagined that there was far more of them. They basically shout from the rooftops about it. I'm still yet to give it a proper go. I guess it's a good alternative to Visual Studio if you're a big fan of ReSharper, which I'm not. So it will be a really interesting one to compare to see how all of this lines up, and especially as Umbraco evolves, we move over to .NET 5, which actually meets our needs better. Maybe Visual Studio is a thing of the past.
Yeah, exactly. That's interesting road. And as same as you said, Rider was on my list since ever. And I also remember discussion about using Umbraco backoffice as an editor back in the days, right? Because there were some people and agencies and companies who were doing it that way, and it also worked in some of the cases. Still, Umbraco Cloud, for example, sometimes is used just that way. And that's pretty interesting. So I've retweeted. Everyone can retweet. Let's find out if there are some other ways, and maybe if this gap will be lower or higher in between of these tools. I'm really curious about it. I
do like Christian's answer there as well, which is that he just uses a standard text editor. No developer tools, no IDE, just a text editor. And I did that for a long time as well. I used there's some Mac app. It may have been TextMate actually.
I use Sublime all the time just to quickly open the editor. And right now I use VS Code for that, and still have some additional bits which were not that easy to be added to Sublime.
If you're really hardcore, you only code in Vim.
Yeah, in console. Yeah, you just open the text file there, and and you can't quit Vim then. Another HQ core dev, Shannon, shared a great story and great blog post from his perspective about auto upgrading NuGet packages with Azure pipelines or GitHub Actions. And again, this is something what is on really high on my list of interest right now, because we are releasing a couple of internal libraries to help us deal with some stuff which is reused across the projects. And here it's just something what we definitely will do as a kind of auto upgrading stuff across the projects and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. And Shannon wrote it in really well described steps, how to do it, what should be done and where, with some examples of code.
There's a lot of use cases here. There's, okay, I've got a project, a base project, and you want to update that so that every time you fork from the base project, you've got the most up-to-date version of Umbraco installed. Equally, automating testing of packages against new versions of Umbraco. So automatically update the package, no build errors, cool, run a suite of Cypress tests or something against the back office. All kind of doable with this workflow. I need to go have a play, because I think there's definitely a place for this in my setup somewhere at least.
Yeah, and again, with all the evolution done across the migration to .NET Core and NuGet everything stuff, or package JSON for all, we'll be seeing it more and more often, and YAML is going to play a major change and major play in our ecosystems. So yeah, great blog post. I also want to play with that. Great work and great share from Shannon here. Another thing which was shared this week is something what is more editors friendly and also highlights some possibilities of block list editor, which we've been discussing as well in the past. Franz shared how they've organized the editors for their project, and it looks really great. And I think that's exactly how I imagined the block list editor when I thought about it for the first time. So just a simple sneak peek on what kind of content you are going to build with these thumbnails here. And Franz also asked a good question. So because he's really curious what other designers can do with it, and that's a challenge. And I believe still, again, if we'll see the Codegarden awards, Umbraco awards this year, we might see more of these, because I believe the block list editor and the whole new 8+ experience allowed more people to do their custom stuff easier.
I think so too, and I can't remember who it was this week. Sorry, that showed off their first attempt at inline preview block list, and it looked amazing. It was a fantastic looking editor experience with proper styled components. It kind of looked almost like the native page content directly within the back office. There's a ton of potential there to make some really, really slick editor experiences.
Yeah, let's see. And people, if you're watching us and you have something like that to share, it's always welcome to see how you do it, and let's inspire ourselves what can be done and how you've done it. Share it and hashtag it with Umbraco or umbraCoffee, and we will find it out. And some blog posts to be shared and discussed quickly. Owen shared 2 blogs this week. First of them is about changing template programmatically. It might not be the common case or common use case, and it's still for Umbraco v7, but it just shows how easy it is to change the template and how to get it from some services which are there. Maybe there are some use cases for that.
When I've had to do this en masse, I've done it in SQL, like a really, really dodgy, but
by ID. Whatever works, right? Whatever works. But here it's possible to do it programmatically. Maybe, for example, using action or button. I don't know what was the exact use case here, but that's great to be shared. And second blog post.
At some point, everyone has chucked a bit of code like that into a Rails to run something, right? Or a web API that they then hit on the server. It's happened.
Of course.
Don't lie.
Of course, we won't be lying. That's the life. And the next blog post is about using event handlers, and I didn't open the link here, but event handlers also in Umbraco v7 to create pages in Umbraco with some specific tags. So still, I believe Owen is going through the development or improvements on the projects, sharing how it was done, and everyone can learn from it and search for it, and that's how it is, and that's great to see that. Still, some content services to be used to do the stuff, but the trigger was from the event handlers. So if you are still doing with V7, that's the way how it can be done. There were some blog posts, but we need to wait for the special segment to highlight them.
Yeah.
We had some HQ's blogs also to quickly highlight. Dog's Diary from Sophie with some numbers and information starting for this month and this quarter or year. I don't know how often it was released, but there are some new people helping in the team.
Well,
and
they've been part of the team for a year now, but they're now officially part of the team.
Yes, no, they have been interns, and right now they are just joining the team. So Busra and Sophie, and there is I was having the number here. They are on the last name. So PRs merged since the January 1st, which is just 2 months, where the February is really the shortest one. 49 PRs to the documentation. Still, one of the really nice features which I love to see, that it's a code samples. And last but not least is the way how we can help structuring the documentation for the new versions. And the plan is, if I'm correct, to document the whole major release. As usual, documentation plays the major part in our work. So if anyone wants to help, and it's not only for the curators team, everyone can help. Reach out to Sophie or the team, any team member from the curators team, and help.
There's a big effort going on to restructure those docs to be more appropriate for .NET Core or for F5. Some of those concepts maybe don't apply anymore. Some of them are more complex and fleshing out. So they're kind of doing a whole bunch of stuff to do that. And there's a bunch of things on the issue tracker that people can help out with, get involved.
Yeah, and there is a new GitHub repository. That's what I also wanted to mention for the documentation there. And it's already having 7 PRs. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. Cool. Let's see. Let's hope that it will be really fully covered with the documentation before it gets launched. And 2 blog posts highlighting new and old team members. We've kind of mentioned that before on one of the umbraCoffee's episode, but Mats is back. And there is also a blog post about the new HQ hire with a description of the previous role, the new role, which is almost the same for Mats in this case, and also some journey which Mats had as an Umbraco HQ employee, or also what he has done in between of the time when he was in the HQ.
I saw
like
Bruno tweeted this week. He quoted the tweet announcing Mats come back, and he just posted an eagle emoji. So I assume, well, 2 things. 1, Slave and Eagle's back, and 2, that Runa is Eagle, or maybe I don't know. Maybe Mads is Eagle. We'll never find out.
We will never find out. That's the beauty of Slave and Eagle. So maybe we can put some another explorations of the ideas. Codegarden, Slave and Eagle concert. Who knows? There are some ideas of online activities and participations there. There are probably some tools to do the online karaoke. There must be too. And the second article is about Andrea, who joined the CAT team, which is the Cloud Activation team. I like these names. So there is a whole introduction of Andrea, and she is right now the sales intern in the team, and we can find out more about Andrea and everything what is driving her to do the job in the CAT team right now in Umbraco HQ. So that's from the HQ perspective. And Callum, new segment.
It's my favorite segment. We've been doing this for a few weeks now, where we just shout out some of the great work that Dennis Adolfi's been up to. But I'm wondering if it's becoming a bit of a competition, because he started announcing things on Fridays as well,
Yeah.
And it's like, will we actually manage to get it into the umbraCoffee episode, or is it going to slip under the radar? No, we will not.
I think that this is also a test if we are not doing the pre-recorded episodes.
We've never done it.
Never. But I had an idea. We should pick a couple more people from the community, a couple more lovely people, do more appreciation segments,
Yes.
because I know how it works, and Dennis, you are doing an amazing job, and keeping the pace and keeping the rhythm of releasing stuff like that is just amazing. And of course, it's a fully deserved appreciation here. And Dennis this week shared couple news. First of them, we wanted to congrats of becoming a gold partner, because company in which Dennis is working became a gold partner, and it was announced today. And it's really a combination of all the factors, and it's great step up to be even more involved in the Umbraco community. But the second blog post was about load balancing Umbraco using Kubernetes. And Callum, I know you've been playing with some Kubernetes and Azure services in the past, and you are still a huge fan of that. Did you find anything useful for you here, or how have you approached that?
So I did. Of course, I did this Script article about
Yep.
Kubernetes, didn't I? And I was discussing with one of my colleagues this week about what place does Kubernetes and containerization have in the world of Umbraco. And I think globally, broadly, and thanks for the shout out.
Yep, you've been an inspiration.
And broadly, I think for Docker, containerization actually is really valuable when you're shipping code alongside an infrastructure component, like a type dependency on a database. For something like a SQL server, and in Umbraco, traditionally we maybe have Umbraco plus a SQL database plus maybe Azure blob storage or some storage. That's about it. I'm not sure really how much value there is in having your Umbraco solution containerized, deployed in a container management service, and then like Kubernetes and load balance that. If you were shipping some other things alongside, let's say you had MongoDB or a queue like RabbitMQ or any of these things, it starts to make a lot more sense. And so in that case, you might well choose to host Umbraco in Kubernetes alongside, your queue instance, your whatever else you've got going on. So I think for typical Umbraco installs, it's probably not appropriate. I'm not quite sure on Dennis's use case. Yeah,
but it's still a plan to get it done. But I think we've been talking about it, that containerization and whole stuff like that makes Umbraco as a application component only. And maybe at this stage, Umbraco is not the application which needs to scale, load balance, and that, because I believe that in systems like that, the other components plays the major and bigger roles in the system, like queues, like you said.
The whole purpose of that containerization is that you can ship identical configuration and setups, where Umbraco is pretty unfussy. Like you can put it on a server running a slightly different .NET versions, and it will be fine. You can run SQL in Azure or locally, or even on the file system. Yeah, as you say, Umbraco is not the concern there. It's when you've got something like a queue that requires specific configuration that you actually need it. And a funny aside here, I was reading a blog this morning or yesterday. Google have said that 6 years on, they are still struggling to fully understand how to configure Kubernetes to its full potential. So if a company like Google cannot appropriately run and configure that at huge scale, do you, as maybe a small digital agency, want to be doing that too? I'm not sure. At least if you're going to do it, go with a managed service like Azure, Azure Kubernetes Service, Azure Container Service. Yeah,
I remember my talk done in the Deutschland Festival a couple years back about also what is beyond Umbraco and Umbraco load balanced versions, and I've managed to do it using the Docker container, using the service fabric. That was the back in the days when the service fabric was hot. But again, do we want this complexity? Do we really need it?
Yeah.
Because we can do it, and always it was the same as with microservices. Everyone was doing microservices for everything. When in the real life, right now, the modularized monoliths, for example, are still rocking in most of the solutions, and especially with Umbraco solutions, where we are still hosting it close together, or there are some strong relations which are really hard to be decoupled. But yeah. I'm really curious, and again, .NET stuff, .NET Core stuff will open some eyes for us. It will give us some more possibilities. So we will see. I still believe that event-driven systems, which are really decoupled together, and CMS is doing the CMS stuff, some email marketing stuff is doing email marketing stuff, and the tools are just communicating with each other based on events and handlers, is more than enough for us right now. In 90% of stuff which we are building, to be honest.
For sure.
So yeah, cool. 2 more things on our agenda, and these are 2 great diaries which we want to combine all together, because this week they are both referring a lot of great stuff. Carol and Lee are releasing the developer diaries since couple of weeks. It's week 7 in Carol's diary and week 7 in Lee's diary. So they've started together at the same time. Yeah, if you want to follow the lives and the diaries of 2 great community members, they are listed on the blog post there. Carol also highlighted some .NET previews and some materials to be read or listened. And thanks for shootout for umbraCoffee, which was watched last week. And Lee's this week released some details behind the scenes about discussions with Rachel about the community office hours and this name change, which we've also mentioned 2 weeks ago, with a new hashtag UmpQT, and time will tell if the discussions were successful or not. But yeah, again, it's a great way to motivate us to write regularly. So keep these notes coming, and thanks for sharing your journeys using this time and format. And that's all from our list. So nothing happened. We didn't miss anything. No FOMO. Nothing
happened, and then all of that stuff we discover today.
And of course, there is probably 10 or 15 things which we missed. So if you are here, if you're watching us, let us know what we've missed. Drop some comments, like buttons, subscribe buttons. Tell your friends, your families that umbraCoffee is on YouTube, and we are still doing them every week and every Friday.
And we're on 625 odd subscribers now. We want to hit 700 soon.
Yep. So, in February.
Yeah, by the end of Feb.
Really.
I think by Codegarden we can manage that.
Yeah, that should be possible. But it's all up to you, people. If you will be sharing it, if you will be passing the links to umbraCoffees and our channel with your colleagues and friends, that's how we'll reach more people, because there are still a lot of people who don't know about it. And funnily enough, I had this chat about the search and a new company who is joining the Umbraco family, and I shared them our links to umbraCoffees, that if you want to follow what's going on in Umbraco community every week, just watch us on YouTube. So, oh, you are on YouTube? Really? How to search for it. So that's if you think that it's something useful to share, do it, and we'll be just pleased with new subscribers and new people joining us every week.
Indeed.
And as always, we'll see each other on the next Friday, right?
We will.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for staying with us, and see you next Friday.